me call this meeting to order. So I don't know if you folks have noticed, a little brighter in here. John had the ceiling replaced to the more traditional height. Looks good, John. It's actually brightened it up a little bit.
Did find some part of the additional noise today.
So we have with us, he didn't want to disclose last week what he was going to talk about, so I'm going to tell us all about Fairfield County Utilities, Tony Vogel.
Slide this down a little bit so I can see. Thanks for having me. I'm going to go through fairly quick because I know you got a busy day today. So what I'm going to go over is an overview of the department, where we are and where we are now, and then what the future holds. So your Department of Utilities has 21 employees, 8 are office staff, 13 are field staff, and we have 8 vacancies. Of those vacancies, 3 are pretty critical that we're interviewing. We have 2 that are at the workforce center. Who's not here? And we have a field engineer and maintenance. So we operate 9 facilities, 3 water treatment plants, 5 wastewater treatment plants, and we contract operate rest fills and goods. We're currently set up as 2 sewer districts, the Greenfield Sewer District and Fairfield County Sewer District. This year we produced 750 million gallons of water for the year. That's about 2 million gallons of water a day. We treated 980 million gallons of water for the year, and that's 2.6 million gallons a day. Our revenues were 10.1 million, 5.9 on the sewer side, 4.2 on the water side, and then that's for services. And then we had connection fees. We had 200 additional customers, which was $2 million in tax. Projects that we completed, 5 subdivisions that developers built subdivisions for housing. We designed 4 ARP projects, constructed 2, and then we have reviewed 9 development plans, anything from warehousing on Plaza Western to subdivisions.
So tell me if I can ask.
Yeah.
You do 750 million gallons in water, and of course 980 million sewer. The difference being the infiltration.
Infiltration's one, but we also have a lot of sewer-only customers. Wastewater facilities that are outside of Lancaster are only sewer-only customers. There's the housing development in Liberty Township with all on grinders. That's all sewer-only customers. So between infiltration and sewer-only customers, that makes that difference.
Is that an acceptable number by and large?
Yeah. Our I&I is fairly low. Most of our I&I is New England Acres subdivision, which is old clay tile. But most of the new is PVC, which we don't have any I&I. Good question. So our ARP projects, with the money that you provided us, we put water line on Grant Hampton Lane, 65 customers that had arsenic in their personal wells. So they're now all on public water. The airport sewer project, I'll show you that one. It's almost complete. We're waiting on meter pits to complete that project out. The Greenfield water line, it's looping the water through Eastland Career Center along Coon Path for the Greenfield system. Its design should be bid out in the next couple months. The regional lift station, this is a lift station that will manage all of the development in Violet Township. We'll kind of go through a little of that. But that's out for bid, that project is. Here's your airport. John probably can talk about more of it. Here's where the lift station used to be. We moved it to the front here, more accessible off the road. This we had to get back into the airport area. Of course, now you're going to put T-hangers there. We installed all the red lines, the sewer lines to the terminal, this maintenance bay. This one's capped here, but it's eventually going to go back to this T-hanger for some restrooms back here. These 4 hangars right here will have water and sewer to them. This is an existing hangar, and we have water and sewer tapped to it. It doesn't have connected yet, but they're there. And then a future hangar that might sit here. We connect hangar A into water and sewer, and of course, about a year ago we did the swap. Thanks for coming. So that's our airport project that will be completed. We're just waiting on these 3 have heater pits. So when those are done, that project will be. So here I just tried to take a picture of Violet Township and kind of show you the development that we have and what we got left, I guess. So this is all Pickerington, Canal, Winchester, and the city of Columbus. So take that out of my section of area. So this section right here is nature preserve. That's Coyote Run, from Hill Road to Allen. So that's not going to be developed. So let's just look at that top northern section. So this is the northern section. To orient ourselves, this is Refugee Road. This is Stemen. This would be Pickerington Road and Alt Road. So you can see kind of the open spaces. This is the Anderson property. At one time, and I still believe they have an option on it, the individual here has an option to turn that into a subdivision, and currently owns the Hickory Lakes. So combination of those 2 will be housing development. This, of course, is Meadow Reserves. This is already completed. They'll swing this all the way around and develop it all the way out for the 3rd phase. This is Magnolia. It butts up to Casada Estates. They'll bring a road down through here to connect to Pickerington Road, and they'll put a housing development on it. This right here is Sycamore Grove, along Tollgate. This is Tollgate. So that subdivision will be developing. This is the Old Smith property. Right now, there's a number of people have looked at it. Right now, we have Myers is looking at going in there. And this is what I'll call Ricketts development. Most of the property is Ricketts, but we're kind of considering as one for sewer services, just to figure out how much of it's going to go back this way and how much of it will go down to our plant down here. So that's the northern side. The southern side, you have, again, this is Coyote Run Nature Preserve. This right here is a subdivision, Southampton subdivision. It's constructed. And this year they'll probably start selling houses, at least in phase 1. This parcel right here is owned by the city of Pickerington. We have plans for this section right here for a housing development, and it's probably going to be commercial on Pickerington roadside. Just to orient yourself, and I should have done this in the beginning, this is 33. This is where we'll have an interchange at Pickerington Road. This is the DHL site. And you have Jefferson Farms, Jefferson Woods here. So when the city develops this, we'll be able to develop these parcels should they need it. We'll have a sewer extended across, and water's, of course, already here. This is, I'll call our commercial corridor. We have Lebec and 2 warehouses here and then you have Lloyd Helber that owns large portions of parcels, and then Weiser. So it'll be all commercial development. So that's our southern. So if you really look at it, the development in Violet Township's kind of wrapping up. With some sections, like you have a large farm field here, you have some farm fields here, but a lot of the houses are 2 5-acre lots along the roads. So the mass development's going to move to other townships. So, which leads me to what the future holds. I believe the future is Liberty, Greenfield, Walnut Township will grow both commercial and residential. And we're going to be tasked to help the villages out. A lot of villages have an operator, maybe a retired operator. So they're just managing what they have. So looking to expand, so we're going to try to help them what their plant capacity is, what their services areas are. So where their sewer lines end and how we can extend them further. Looking at their rates and their tap fees, and then of course their specifications if they need upgraded. Many of the villages really haven't looked at that, and I guess maybe aren't in the situation of growing. But as Commissioner Fix went around to everybody, and you think about Amanda, that's the southwest corner, but some of the council there were like, yeah, my kid graduated from Amanda. He works in Circleville. He has nowhere to live, but he wants to stay here, so he's living in my basement. So even in a village like Amanda, you have some.
Thomas, could you back up one slide? Forward one slide. Yes.
Yeah.
Are those in random order?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just listed all of them because we've talked to all of them. Some of them are more.
Oh, it's fine. It's just when they weren't in alphabetical order, I thought maybe they were in some other form of order.
No.
Okay.
It was just the order in my head. I was trying to go through so I didn't miss any of them. So, speaking of land use, and I know this is going to get voted on and looked at, but you look at the villages and see how they're going to grow, and it makes sense because there's water and sewer already there. There's other areas, that are going to be commercial areas that are kind of areas, number 2 is probably one we got to work a little harder. 6 is in the Greenfield, 7 is probably Lancaster service. So I think we're covered with a lot of the areas that we've looked at, and how we get there. So that'll entertain any questions.
Yeah, Tony, been on the tour. You've done a great job. And, I said a couple times during the tour, you're kind of the rock star of it because, development so much depends on the availability of water and sewer. So, you've identified really, obviously the northwest part of the county continues to grow at a rapid pace, and you've identified all the projects there. But, looking at all the villages, every place we went, they're like, well, we're close to capacity, or we're at capacity, or we have some room, but each one of them is going to need some help and guidance. So I'm appreciative that you're, looking ahead and figuring out how we can help those folks.
Thanks.
Commissioner Davis.
I just thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Tony.
So when you initially you were talking about you were down in staff members, folks at the workforce center that would be coming online. Is that correct?
Yeah, in March here, we'll have 2 apprentices, a water and sewer operator. That'll kind of fill out the critical ones is the wastewater supervisor, maintenance supervisor, 2 critical ones, and then there's maintenance employee. So I'll say those are the 3 critical. Then you have 2 apprentices, so there's 5 of the 8. We currently contract all of our mowing and maintenance out. We have a position for that. We also have a position for inspection. So as some of these projects get further along, we'll fill those, but the critical are those 3 that I talked to.
And that kind of reinforces the need at the workforce center for what you're doing there, Rick.
Yep, and we're actually looking at expanding the water wastewater lab. attractive for individuals to look at this.
Good. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tony.
So this is a time in our meeting when we allow public comment. If you wish to do so, please approach the podium, give your name and address, and you are given 3 minutes. Who would be first?
Stemen, 2444 West Point Road, Lancaster. This morning, I'd like to discuss a little bit that has happened in the last few days, which hard to keep up on. But some of the things that have happened in the past come right out of the greatest history book we have, and that's the Bible. We can go back to the beginning in Genesis, and in the very first part of Genesis, God came to Abraham and told him, you need to leave and go someplace else. He didn't tell him where, but he would show him. But he made a covenant with Abraham and told him that he would be the father of many, many nations, and one specific. But he had no children, and he was 80 years old. And that isn't the best time to raise a family. His wife was just about, so 20 years later, they had a son. And they did populate a lot of the area. But we need to remember, God is still working. In 1492, Columbus discovered what is now America. But that the same year, the Jews were forced out of Spain and Portugal. These the two countries were very large at that time. The eclipse was happening in 1492 also. And Bible scholars took notice of this, and they're looking at what is coming up. But going back a little bit, in 1948, and another eclipse when Israel became a nation. And then in 1967, the 6-Day War. Israel was not prepared. They didn't have an army really. But God took care of it.
You have 30 seconds.
They really took care of things. And now Jonathan Kane, which some of you probably have heard of, has put some information on the web that needs to be looked at. And I think all of us should look at it because in 2017, there was an eclipse. And now coming up in 24 in April, there will be another major eclipse.
Please include your remarks.
Okay. And I want to say a short prayer. Father, guide and direct us. People of little knowledge compared to you. Help us have wisdom. Only you can give. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, I'm Ralph Hedrick. I'm representing the Maida Township Trustees. I am the Township Trustees for Amanda. I want to read to you resolution requesting that the Board of County Commissioners of Fairfield County, Ohio adopt a resolution pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 303.58 prohibiting the construction of economically significant wind farms, large solar facilities, and large wind farms from the unincorporated area of Amanda Township. Whereas the Ohio Revised Code, Section 303.58, provides that Board of County Commissioners may adopt a resolution designating all or part of the unincorporated area of the county as a restricted area, prohibiting construction of economically significant wind farms, large solar facilities, and large wind farms. And whereas the Board of Township Trustees desire to ensure access to buildable land within the unincorporated area of Amanda Township for future growth in agriculture, residential, and commercial sectors of areas as access to major transportation corridors. And whereas the Board of Township Trustees has received input from its residents, and the overwhelming consensus is that economically significant wind farms, large solar facilities, and large wind farms are not compatible with the character of the future economic growth and development, either agriculture, residential, or commercial of land in Amanda Township. And whereas the Board of Township Trustees has served the use of land in Amanda Township for economically significant wind farms, large solar facilities, and large wind farms is detrimental to the future development of Amanda Township and the well-being of the residents of Amanda Township, Fairfield County, Ohio. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees, Township Trustees of Amanda Township, Fairfield County, State of Ohio, with at least 2/3 of its members concurring in accordance with revised code as follows. Section 1, that the Board of Amanda Township Trustees hereby respectfully request that the Board of County Commissioners of Fairfield County, Ohio, adopt a resolution pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 303.58, designating in the unincorporated areas of Amanda Township as a restricted area, prohibiting the construction of any economically significant wind farms, large solar facilities, and large wind farms in the unincorporated of Amanda Township. Motion by me, Ralph Hedrick, second by Trustee Austin Reed. This resolution was adopted with a 2 yes, 1 nay on adopted February the 12th of 2024, signed by our 3 trustees, myself, Ralph Hedrick, Mark Pontius, and Austin Reed. And here's your copy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Beth Cottrell, Cedar Hill Road, Amanda. I live within half a mile of the proposed industrial project in Amanda Township. First, as a representative of Protect Amanda Township, we would like to thank Ralph for bringing this resolution to you. We're greatly appreciative that our trustees have listened to their constituents and passed this resolution. Protect Amanda Township is not the small committee that has met with Mr. Hicks, as he has graciously listened to us while he came and sat on the porches. You saw the huge crowd that came on July 10, 2023 to the commissioners meeting that you held in the Amanda School. The vast majority of the people who spoke were speaking against the proposed project. None of the people who spoke in favor of the project live in the project area. We feel the passage of these exclusionary zones is vitally important to protect the property rights of the residents of the area who chose to live in a rural agricultural area, not a huge industrial site. Jerry Starner, one of our committee members, was able to produce spreadsheets from information on Fairfield County Recorder's site. We continue to gather and refine information from this, but there are 24 parcels leased to Carnation Solar, totaling 1,707.77 acres. 6 entities, 5 families, and an attorney assigned as a trustee have signed leases to Carnation Solar. Only 2 of the families live within 1 mile of the project area. There are 470 non-leased parcels within 1 mile of the leased parcels. We are working on how many residences and businesses there are, as many of the parcels listed as agricultural are also residential. Fewer than 5% of the parcels within 1 mile of the proposed project are leased, but 100% of the residents will be impacted by the loss of property values, the horrors during construction, and the decimation of the character of our area. I have seen that several people have come before you or sent letters in support of property rights or of the jobs industrial solar will bring. I ask that you carefully assess how many of these people actually live in one of the proposed project areas. We ask you to protect our property rights. In conclusion, I'd like to thank Dr. Carrie Brand and the Auditor's Department for the updated DIUB solar lease map. The original map has been extremely helpful. And another thank you to the person who is scanning in the hundreds of pages for the minutes, because it's really helpful to be able to read those when we're not able to attend. Thank you to the commissioners for listening. And when it warms up, come sit on our porches and really experience what we experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Doug Leith. Trish, it's a pleasure to be here before you this morning. I made myself some notes because, as many of you know, I tend to ramble and I want to respect your time. I live at 7275 Cattail Road, Pleasantville, Walnut Township, and I appreciate the opportunity to be before this distinguished assembly this morning because I've never had the chance to do that. So I appreciate that. And however, I feel that I needed to come today to offer you my reflections on the Eastern Cottontail Solar Project. I'm not opposed to solar, just like you've heard before, just in prime farmland. I stand before you today with two hats. First, as a landowner bordering the proposed site. Our family was approached approximately 5 years ago, or nearly on day one when this project first came about, by the Gen X people offering to lease our land. Contrary to advertised information, Gen X was surfaced by a local farm family to explore our area for a solar project because they had privately informed us as such, and our family would be contacted by Gen X for that exploration. Gen X quietly worked in the first several years, which was about 6 years ago now, to secure leases this first couple of years. Over 75% of the recorded leases were secured from the original landowner family and the farms that they rented and farmed, which are basically absentee owners. The lease dollars, I'm not going to lie to you, was very tempting to our family, especially compared to the risky business of farming. And my dad was in his late 80s at that time when this all started. And after many hours of discussions and research that we did privately, I asked him what he was thinking. And his comment to me was that since this was a 25 or 30-year project, it wasn't his decision because he wasn't going to be around, it was mine. At that time, I said, well, you know, Dad, it's really not. It's my two sons who will be the sixth generation to own our farm. So we had a family meeting, and we went over all the particulars and talked about the money and whatever. And then as a family, we decided that, you know what, there's more important things in life, money, and we just declined to sign any of the leases. I have huge concerns, mainly because of farm drainage is probably the number one thing that I'm worried about being next to this project. And we have had discussions with farmers in other areas that have functioning solar projects, and they tell me it has been a disaster when it comes to drainage. The oversight of this existing project has become a nightmare, and the solar companies only attempt to do the bare minimum required on their leased land without regard for their actions affecting the neighboring parcels. And as you know, new drainage problems don't occur immediately. It takes a couple of years before you can actually see that there is a problem. And when there is a problem, it will be up to me as a landowner or anybody affected by it to get an assessment, hire a legal representation, and try to get something done to correct the problem. EDF states that they will collect drainage maps, highlighting existing lines to assist with their development plans. However, I can tell you that most of the tile put in Walnut Township and Fairfield County was put in by our grandfathers and great-grandfathers, and there are no maps. I believe that you have communication from the County Soil and Water Board opposing this project, mainly because of that fact and their research with fellow soil and water boards. I can tell you that Gen X, as far as I'm concerned, and EDF has not been up front with us from day one. For example, Gen X has shown me through the 5 or 6 years, 3 different proposed sites for the substation of transmission line. The latest one map that I was received was right next to us. So obviously, this isn't their first rodeo, and there are several steps ahead of us and for you guys to approve the process required before we realize that, we're kind of behind the eight ball because they're so far ahead of us that they're down the road a lot further than we are. All preliminary work is filed, as you know, under a different name and a different project management. It continues to move. It's like a moving target, and it's hard to hit. The Ohio Power Siting Board and Senate Bill 52 have many gray areas allowing for that process to take place. I also stand before you this morning as a Walnut Township trustee. As you are aware, I offer the following personal concerns as a trustee with land rights. Land rights has been offered many times during this project as a defense for this project. However, I view that opinion like apples and oranges. The local entity, being the township, has no control over this project other than one seat on the siting board. As farmers wanting to erect a new grain bin or a new fence or a new barn, we are required to submit those plans to the township for review. I must get local approval even if I'm replacing, updating, or adding a field entrance into one of my fields from the road. Even if my neighbor plans to construct a hog confinement barn or a cattle feedlot, they got to go through the local entity.
Doug, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you. If a neighboring parcel owner applies to change the zoning on something, I, as a neighbor, have a right to be in part of that. High wage jobs. We have had a lot of union people come to us in our township meetings and say that, this is great for jobs. However, 99% of those people don't even live in Fairfield County. So I've only addressed a little bit of the tip of the iceberg. And as I said, this has gone on for about 6 years. So we're the little guy in this thing. And I think we're being run over by a huge foreign company with a stacked deck. And I ask you guys to do whatever your fellow commissioners have done in the other counties and oppose this project by passing ORC 3.58. And time is of the essence as far as I'm concerned. So please help us as a little guy in this process, and I appreciate your time.
First of all, there's no rule of law when there is no law being followed. Just made up rules that sporadically are being applied. East Palestinians are being punished, and we have to ask why. Well, because these people represent all the hard-working persons of America and make America to function. It matters where we put our money. So it matters where we invest our energy, and it matters where we put our opinion. Truth is that the greatest truth is that where we put our manufacturing, the greatest innovation has to be in proximity to get into plants with that fabricate whatever product is to be produced. It's a dumb thing for this county and this country to not even be building businesses. Instead, global economy is what you, along with the state and the national government, are promoting. Politicians know what they are doing. They don't just care about the consequences for present or future generations. The corporate and the politicians are in the same boat. They act to the detriment of Americans, and they act to their own benefit. A true capitalist takes responsibility and understands the impact on society and on all of its stakeholders and constituents. That was America when we remember in 80 and 90. It was then that we had a concerned capitalism. Yes, a concerned capitalism and a responsible capitalism. What we witness today is unexpected, unknown, unpredictable consequences. And thus we are seeing investments in China, like solar panels, artificial intelligence. Yes, it has been researched and proven that education is not improving human intelligence. A world dominated by machines, and also a society that believes it knows better than God's holy word and more than our wise forefathers and the Constitution that they were inspired by God to draw up. And then there was this Liberty sold. It is mighty sad for me to consider and recall the Statue of Liberty, freedom's great symbol to all, was sold in its property of the UN, now towering tall. Most Americans don't know their symbol of freedom's sold, thus they continue to go on daily paths that seem old, and their days seem to flow happy since they're not been told. Oh, how sad it is for me to consider and recall the pages of history of nations that come and fall just because people can't see captivity looming tall. The enemy tries to paint freedom that has no control. Liberals are called the real saint. Then unrest starts to unfold. Then comes justice growing faint, followed by law, cruel and cold. This is how our liberty is being sold on this day, without you and even me seeing the game leaders play. So wake up and come to see how freedom erodes away.
Great. Thank you for everything you do. First of all, I want to thank Auditor Carrie Brown. I met her after our meeting last week, and she saved us hundreds of dollars on our property tax because I received a letter and I was thinking, oh no, it's going to be more. And we were grandfathered in for the homestead exemption. So I encourage anybody who doesn't realize that they're grandfathered in on homestead exemption to please call her office. She might save you money. Okay. Of course, I'm against the large solar. I visited a farm over the weekend, and the owner of the one farm pointed out another farm and talked about how the other guy had been approached, this time not by solar, but by Bill Gates' people. They wanted to put a Microsoft facility there in Fairfield County. We didn't know about that. The guy, I'm going to put it nicely, he told them to pound sand because he was a farmer, he's farming his land. That's the non-X-rated version. There are other people that have been approached by solar. They're being approached by solar companies right now that we don't even know about. Okay? So I'm encouraging you once again to, now that we have 4 townships that have presented resolutions, and thank you, Doug Leith and Walnut Township. Do we have 5 now?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, I know of 4, maybe you have a 5th one. Anyway, I'm encouraging you to take action on that and write a resolution and do the will of the people. They've done their homework with the people in each township. It's something that needs to be done before it's too late. Don't wait for the OPSB, don't wait for the court cases, because right now the companies are sliding in under the radar and leasing land that we don't even know about. Also, this is concerning the land use plan, which is great. I mean, it's pretty much done, right? I mean, coming in right at the tail end. And I know some people that have read it, and I've downloaded it and everything, but yeah, it's great. However, without addressing a solar, you don't have a plan. Number 2, the BIA has come out now, and they are pushing the legislature to do away with local control of zoning. They're trying very hard to get the zoning out of the township's hands.
Please conclude.
About done. So I'm urging you, and I know Commissioner Fix is well aware of the BIA, so I don't know if you can have any positive influence on our side as far as local control. And that's basically it. Just please do your part in these resolutions that the townships have presented. Thank you.
Good morning, Stephanie Taylor, Habitat for Humanity of Southeast Ohio. I wanted to share this morning, as we are wrapping up a couple of the houses that we're working on, one in the Career Center, which is coming to close to an end where we'll get ready to move it soon. And the one on 6th Avenue, we're hopefully only a couple of months away from finishing up that project as well. But I wanted to share a homeowner story from this area. So we, the 2 houses we're getting ready to finish are number 4 and 5, and then we will begin 6 and 7 this year. But house number 2, which was built on Broad Street over by Maywood Mission, the partner family was a single mom of 2 kids. She was working 3 jobs at one point, trying to go to school, had to quit school to pick up that 3rd job, and just really had no time for anything else, working to provide for her family, paying rent that was well over $1,000 for a home that had a living room that was a converted garage and not converted well. So you can imagine her utility bills weren't great. In the winter, she was like, we can't use our living room. We have to be elsewhere in our house. And it was just a very confining situation for her all the way around. Tony put in her time with us, the 250 sweat equity hours, alongside all the volunteers that helped build her home, including this administration was out. Steve and I, we were out there, Ani and Jeff, and building, John, I believe. We were doing all kinds of good things. So fast forward, getting her in the home at the end of 2022 in September, we dedicated that home. She became a homeowner. And last year, around about the year time frame, October, I got a chance to just catch up with her and ask her, how have things been now that you've been in your home for a year? And she was very happy to report that she was able, from that point, to get a better job. So she was working 1 job instead of 3. She went back to school and was able to get her, finish off what she needed to do and get her LPN and STNA. I'm not sure exactly which one. And that has allowed her to continue being successful, not only in our community and her future success and in her family's success. And she said one of the happiest things about all of it is she now has the time to spend with her 2 kids and be around them and help them grow and all those things. So I just wanted to share that wonderful message of hope of how that one house is impacting one family, and we are rounding the corner of house number 4 and 5 and beginning 6 and 7, and those impacts that we have in those families' lives and in this community as a whole, we can't do without all of the support that we do get here in this county from all of the people that sit here and out here and in the community as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning. I'm Don Keller, and I'm a trustee in Walnut Township. I did not expect to speak here today. I'm sorry about that. What I'm going to ask is do a lot of listening, and I appreciate all the listening. We've got so many things in our township bombarding us, and we're trying to muddle through this. One of the things that we've talked about today is solar. We've had a lot of people approach us about the solar. With that, there are 2 resolutions that we are looking at. One is the ban on solar, and the other is a resolution that water and soil is put to try to control what happens with the solar field if it doesn't. If we don't have solar there, there's a good chance there's going to be houses. So if we put 400 houses there, we bring 1,200 people, we bring 800 cars, we bring the streets and people. And in the township, then at that point, we need to support this, which means our police and our fire, our road department, our taxes all have to also support that. We'll put that there, maybe we put industry there, maybe we put a big cement box. Things are going to happen. As trustees, we're trying to figure out the best way to control this, regulate it, and make sure the township is protected by it. We appreciate your help, but what I'm asking for today is more help. And beyond the listening, I, as a trustee who get to face these people with all these different questions all the time, I need to speak back to them. And what I'm looking for from you commissioners is help for us to answer some of these questions in a way that isn't punishable by us. I want to throw some heat on you guys. And I appreciate you listening and thinking, and I know that there are times that you're waiting for this to happen before you say anything, and you're trying to consider everything. Us as trustees are trying to do that also. Whether we agree, disagree, whatever the case may be. But you know, just like these two resolutions, what can I do to help protect my township? And what's vital? What really matters? What doesn't matter? And so I'm looking for help back from this body to help us with that. Because I'm speaking as a trustee, not as a person. I have my own thoughts on solar, I have my own thoughts on housing. It doesn't matter. My job is to take care of the township. I've been entrusted by that, by the voters, and I try to listen to them, and we try to make the best responsible decision according to that. So you've listened, please help us.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you all for coming. Amy.
Nothing today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a few items here to share. A conversation did take place last Thursday to make plans for the transfer of governance from the city of Lancaster to the county of Lancaster Fairfield Public Transit. The city is anticipating having legislation on for their March 25th meeting, and will have the second and third readings on April 8th and April 22nd, respectively. They will be drafting that particular ordinance. And thank you to Stephen from the prosecutor's office for being willing to draft a lease agreement for the current space and building that LFPT will continue to operate out of. Anyone want to comment on that?
Transit. I was distracted. Will you say it again?
The transfer of governance resolution from the city of Lancaster, they're anticipating having that on for their March 25th meeting.
I'm satisfied with that timeline.
Okay.
Is that the question?
Yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I mean, I've been in some meetings and staff has handled other meetings associated with the anticipated transfer of Lancaster Fairfield Transit from the city of Lancaster to the county effective July 1st.
Right.
I guess a thought that keeps going through my mind is it's an incredibly complex transaction with federal grants and state grants, and each entity involved seems to have a different fiscal year, which is a lot of fun. So it's going to be really complicated. And I anticipate that in spite of all the diligence on both sides of the transaction, there will probably be mistakes made and things that we'll need to clean up in the aftermath. One thing I think it would be helpful for people to understand is the plan for transit on July 1st is exactly the same as the plan for transit on June 30th. In other words, one of the guiding principles that the commission has shared with staff is effectuate the transfer with as little tumult and trouble as possible, which means with as little change as possible. Change may be coming in the out years as the county grows and the need for transit increases. But in the short term, attempting to effectuate that change at the same time as the transfer doesn't seem very prudent. So, some people, not many, have questioned the cost or different aspects of this transaction. And I just wanted people to know that the guiding principle is for there to be no change in the short term. And then over the longer horizon, much planning and thought will be put into the need or lack thereof for significant change.
Thank you, Commissioner. Quickly, just some highlights of resolutions. The review packet does contain a list of the administrative approvals. We do have 11 resolutions on for the voting meeting today. resolution appropriating funds and providing a cash advance from the general fund for the Basel Western Grant Fund. This establishes funds necessary to pay vendors working on the project. $197,568 is being appropriated from unappropriated, and an additional $98,784 is being advanced. We also have a resolution authorizing the appropriation of $10,046, which is $10,000 plus accrued interest for the Board of Elections Cybersecurity Technical Assistance. This was a grant awarded to the county from Secretary of State to implement cybersecurity technical document. Also have a resolution approving the amendment to a lease agreement with the Ohio Department of Public Safety for office space at the Fairfield Center. Due to construction delays, this amendment changes the occupancy dates listed in the original contract. This will be for the BMV in the Pickerington area. John, anything else on that?
No, and we had our bid award noticed on Friday. We did receive a good amount.
Wonderful. I know you were a little concerned about that. A resolution to approve the NLA Violet LLC agreement for 2.5 acres located at 9695 Basel Western Road, which is located within the CETA between Violet Township and Canal Winchester. This is an agreement which outlines the requirements and obligations of the owner in regard to a multi-use path along Basel Western Road that is outlined within the Cooperative Economic Development Agreement known as CETA. We also have a resolution authorizing the request for release of funds for the 2023 Community Housing Impact Preservation Program and authorizing myself to sign that request. We don't have a budget review today. Rochelle, our summarized calendar review and invitation received, please.
All right, thank you. The Liberty Township, Village of Baltimore, and Village of Thurston meetings for this afternoon have been canceled. The CFLP Policy Committee meeting and Board of Directors meeting on February 23rd is at 9 and 9:30. The Ohio Attorney General's Elder Abuse Commission meeting is February 26th at 10, and an invitation was received for a recognition ceremony for the Lancaster City Schools preschool on March 8th at 10 a.m. We have 5 press releases that are available. You can find them on the agenda. There are 2 articles that were in the Lancaster Eagle Gazette. The auditor sent her memo, fact sheet, and wins of the week. We have a letter from CFLP regarding the closure of the 2023 Combined Education and Recycling Contract, a calendar from DG, emails and letters from residents regarding industrial solar projects, a survey from the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, and newsletters from Eastern Cottontail and MCJVC were all received. That is it.
Thank you, Rochelle. That's it, Commissioner.
Commissioner Davis, whole business.
I have a few things I want to touch on. One being, as might be par for the course, Sherry was right and I was wrong. Is for, there was a township that I assumed we had already had one from, but we don't. So I was mistaken. The other thing I wanted to mention in rural business is tomorrow, I think early voting begins for the March primary. And so last night I was thrilled to be invited by a friend, Nicole Schultz, and myself and Chairman Brandon Meyer. We're all invited to the Republican Senate debate with the 3 candidates in Findlay, Ohio. We had front row seats at the debate and got to enjoy that and also visit with the candidates a little bit. It was just a really fantastic evening, spirited debate with some differences between those candidates, culminating in my encouragement for folks to vote early and not often, if you would, please. Also, I wanted to say a quick word about Habitat for Humanity. Whenever we're fortunate enough to get an update like that, I'm reminded of just a handful of people who sometimes criticize Habitat for Humanity because they're only doing 1 house or 2 house or 3 house or 4 house. Almost all the time that criticism comes from people who have done none. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Fitz.
Yeah, so working through the land use plan, we do have a meeting Thursday night hosted by the Township Association and the Mayor's Alliance to gather all the township trustees and village mayors and councils to review where we were with the plan, all the meetings we had, the 26 different meetings with townships, villages, farm bureau, school superintendents, and where the plan is today as we prepare to present it to the Regional Planning Commission and then have it here before the commissioners for adoption. We have come a long way, and the next step from that is to circle back with each of the townships and villages to have one-on-one meetings to talk about the things we learned from them when we went out and had their meetings. So we had our first round of meetings last week with Greenfield Township, Pleasant Township, and Hocking Township. I'm sorry, the first round of meetings was 2 weeks ago. We had our first round of meetings this past week. We had meetings between those townships and the city of Lancaster trying to work on some long-term agreements. You heard today that we canceled the meetings with Baltimore Liberty and another township, and that's on me because I hadn't had a chance to reach out to those townships to schedule those meetings. So we've got basically through March working to get all of the townships and all of the villages here so that we can start that process of, as Tony mentioned in his presentation, helping them figure out their water and sewer, helping them figure out their land use plan, helping them figure out their zoning, whatever it is that they need. And each township and each village are different, so that we can make sure that we're not just talking the talk of building that toolbox, but actually walking the walk of building it so that each township and each village has everything they need to properly prepare for, manage, and take advantage of the development. Trustee Keller mentioned, that help is needed, and I think that we have shown that we're more than willing to help any township, any village. And Don, anytime you need me to come and take some heat in Liberty Township, I'm pretty good at that. So happy to come out and answer any questions that you guys have. And that goes for any township or any village, any small group, right? We'll come and sit on your front porch. We'll come and sit in your township hall or your village hall and have the conversation and do everything we can to be helpful. The other thing I have for old business, for 2 years now, you've heard me talk about the One Ohio Recovery Foundation, and that is the foundation that was put together by the lawsuit that was settled between the state of Ohio and the pharmaceutical industry to take basically what will amount to $1 billion and figure out how to spend it to address the issues that have come about through the opiate epidemic. Spent 2 years working on getting that board up and running. Feel like we've come to a good place. We have an executive director who gets it, has experience in it, and is moving the ball forward. It's now time for me to step aside from that role on that board. We have someone in Region 18, which is the 7 counties that I have represented for the past 2 years on that board. We have another gentleman, a former county commissioner, who is currently a pharmacist, deals with this issue every day and is clearly passionate about it, who is willing to step into my role on the One Ohio board. So tomorrow night in our regional meeting, I'll be tendering my resignation from the state board, and former Commissioner Whiston will be stepping forward. I have mixed emotions about it. I have been passionate about the opiate issue, well, for 15 years, working to try to find solutions. Again, feel like our efforts to get the board stood up and get it ready to go have been fruitful. It's taken longer than I wanted, but we're now at a point where this summer that board will be handing out roughly $60 million in grants all around the state, 3.6 million of which will come to our region, and certainly a portion of that to Fairfield County. So I'm disappointed that I won't be able to see that all the way through. But there's only so many hours in the day. And my work here as a commissioner is critically important to me, and I hope to the residents of our county. And there's some great things going on here that I want to make sure we're all doing everything we can to do it the right way every day. So that's that.
So for the sake of time, we have a limited amount of time. So Commissioner Davis, any new business?
Just briefly, I have mentioned a couple of times my work with the Indigent Defense Task Force at the state legislature. Over the last few days, I have been asked a series of follow-up questions regarding my testimony to that task force, and am now starting to think that Fairfield County will punch way above its weight in terms of the result and conclusion of that task force. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fix.
I have no new business. Thank you.
I have one item of new business. That's as new as you can come. So that's my great grandson.
Hey.
His name is Brooks Allen. He was born February 17th. And everybody has to know, how much they weigh. He weighed 6 pounds, 12 ounces, and he's 19 inches long. I could never figure out why you do that length. But, so.
He has no idea how lucky he is to have you as a great grandfather.
I'm going to spoil rotten.
I don't imagine that.
So that being said, for the sake of time, folks, we have an executive session we have to get into. So let's stand and like something.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got any new business? Any new business? Any?
There are no announcements.
No, yes. That's great. So approval of minutes for February 13th, 2024. I need to correct that, 24.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Being done, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Minutes passed 3-0. From the Commissioners, Resolution 2024-2.20.a. A resolution to approve to appropriate from unappropriated into a major expense category and cash advance from General Fund 1001 to Fund 3903, Project T001, Basel Western 629 grant.
The Commissioners, I move items A and B.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Board of Elections, Resolution 2024-2.20.c. Resolution to authorize funding made available to Fairfield County Board of Election, a grant for cybersecurity technical assistance and appropriate from unappropriated.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Facilities, Resolution 2024-2.20.d. A resolution to approve the amendment to a lease agreement with the Ohio Department of Public Safety for Ohio lease space at the Fairfield Center.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. And this is a good thing because, obviously it just makes it a lot more convenient for the folks there in Walnut Township, Pickerington, northwest portion of the county, where BMB and the title office be next door to one another. So I'm happy to see this move. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. For Fairfield County Family and Children First Council, Resolution 2024-2.20.e. Resolution approving an account-to-account transfer Fund 7521, Subfund 8195.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Resolution 2024-2.20.f. A resolution to approve additional appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated into a major expense object category, Fund 2072 Children's Services Fund.
Under Fairfield County Job and Family Services, I move items F, G, and H.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Regional Planning Commission, Resolution 2024-2.20.I. A resolution to approve an agreement between MLA Violet LLC for the development for 9695 Basel Western Road.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency, Resolution 2024-2.20.j. A resolution authorizing the request for the release of funds for the program year 2023 Community Housing Impact Preservation Program.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Payment of bills, Resolution 2024-2.20.k. Resolution authorizing the approval of payment of invoices for departments that need Board of Commissioners approval.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
So before we go into executive session, is there any other item to come before the Board of Commissioners at this time? Commissioner Davis, would you?
Yes, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues. In that session, I'd like to have the commissioners, county administrator, deputy county administrator, clerks, representatives from the prosecutor's office, representatives from the sheriff's office,
And outside counsel.
and outside counsel.
Second.
And Bart.
And Bart. Second. I know, but then Bart.
Second, Bart. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion
Okay.
passes 3-0.
We're in executive session.